Did you hear? So we're going to do this again. Today we're talking to Devin Allen Toll, the CEO and owner of Global Glamping, and talking about some of the key, I don't want to say pitfalls, but some of the things to really be hyper aware of when it comes to launching into the glamping industry. And so the first one we're going to talk about first and foremost is having and being aware of the proper zoning regulations. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me, June. It's always a pleasure to be on here talking glamping with you guys. We're going to bring you guys some really great value today on some of the roadblocks and different mountains that you're going to be able to encounter and have to overcome in this industry if you really wanted to get into the glamping industry, because not every property is ideal. Every county and regulation and municipality is different. So we want to make sure that you guys have certain little check boxes that you guys can check off while you're looking for the right property, you know, some of the best practices. So with that being said, guys, there's two major things you're going to need to look for. One is, what are the municipalities' regulations on temporary structures? How many of these structures can you actually be able to put on the property without reaching that commercial threshold? And then how many of those structures will actually take you over that threshold, right? Because everyone sees these numbers and they're like, wow, let's buy 100 tents, right? But then when you start putting up these tents and then your neighbors see it and they call the county, and then come to find out, 5 tents or more is considered a major subdivision. And then you have to go to the weekly or monthly meetings for your counting and zoning. So we're here to make sure that you guys take the right steps and processes to make sure you guys have the right property and zoning.
Okay, so let's talk about the fun stuff, talking about waste, because that's a big part of it. What waste systems do you need to have for the counties? Like what types of?
So I'll use Montana, for example, because that's where we got started with everything. And I just needed to start generating some revenue for my property. So I knew that you could have at least 5 temporary structures on the property without having to go into major subdivision for commercial or anything like that. So I found out that what you needed to do is, to get up and running, you would need to get a conditional use permit that allows you to have either a porta potty, a outhouse, or even a holding tank that you can pump on a monthly basis, because that gives you speed to market. Because the quicker you can get up and running and actually start, getting cash flow with your units, the better. So in order to get up and running right away, I was able to get a conditional use permit, which gave me some time to rent out my units with a porta potty while I was getting the permitting for the septic and the holding tank, and then was able to actually get some cash flow going while I was getting the major permitting for the commercial septic and all that other stuff.
So you talked before, when we weren't recording, about incinerator toilet, and that was expensive, and then the other one. So
Sure.
Can you hit on that a little?
Perfect. So I was talking about earlier, speed to market, depending on the phases of your build out, that would be the first step to go up and going right away, right? Would be the conditional use permit. But there's also 2 other options if you wanted to do like an eco luxury resort and do kind of an off-grid style thing. There is what's called your composting toilet. I recommend a Sunmar. It's about a $2,200 to $2,500 really, really nice composting toilet. You only have to switch it out every month or couple months. It's got a big capacity, and you can put it under the deck. So that's a really good option. Another option is doing an incinerator toilet. They're usually $2,000 to $5,000. They're not cheap, but again, the quicker you can get up and running and generating cash flow, the better off you'll be in the long run. So if your county will give you those conditional use permits without having to do a full-on septic, that's a way that you can get started right away. And believe it or not, guys, we actually won the best hip camp with a porta potty and our yurt. So I know it sounds crazy, but people really, really love the structures and they love the experience. So if you can create that experience and create that culture and that community, anything is possible. So don't let not having a full-on bathroom and shower keep you from getting started in the industry, because there's ways to get going with without having a full-on septic and stuff.
Nice. So you kind of hit on a little bit about temporary structures and the max amount and the minimum amount. Like, you want to kind of
Expand on the
that a little more?
perfect. So let's say, you're looking at 100 acres and you're wanting to do like a 50 unit location because you think that that's plenty of land, right? And it is. But the thing is again, each county municipality is different, and there's regulations on the amount of structures you can have on certain properties. So when you're wanting to do a larger development or something like that, you need to make sure that the property can have multiple septics if you're looking to do an actual running water with well and septic and everything, because you're going to have multiple septics on the property to be able to have the capacity for the waste. That's the number one. Number two, making sure that the actual structures can be zoned commercial with 5 or more structures, because in that area, unless there's no covenants or no HOA or no regulations, that's never the case. So 5 units or more most of the time is going to be a commercial development. So keeping that in mind, making sure when you go to the county, you let them know that you're going to be building it out in phases. Phase 1 is 10 structures, phase 2 is another 20 structures. And we can help our clients step by step, not only with the engineering for the septics, but also the renderings, the site map, everything that you need to take to the county. We've put together these startup packages, these dream packages that will allow you to work directly with Global Glamping, and we'll be able to provide these services for you. So we'll get your site map renderings. We'll get your engineered stamps for the decks. We'll get you the layouts of the different types of structures to be able to take to the county, say, here, look, we're working with a professional firm. This is the checklist items that we have to be able to do this project. This is the verbiage, eco luxury resorts, not necessarily considered glamping, yada, yada, yada. And being able to really accelerate and incubate your glamping startup.
Nice. So just out of curiosity for me, before we finish, is there a minimum amount of a space that someone should consider? Like, is a quarter acre, half acre, what is enough space to really consider doing something?
Great question. So there's not a right or wrong answer to this one, because a lot of it is location of where the structure is going to be going and what they're permitted for. Because you can do something with a quarter acre or half acre and make it super, super appealing, have 3 to 4 structures and still have enough privacy where everyone feels like they have the their own little area, and not cram it in there, but they can be within a couple 100 feet of each other and people still it doesn't bother them. So
right.
Obviously the more land the better, but if your budget only allows you for half acre, you definitely can still do some stuff for sure.
Awesome. So today we were talking about some of the pitfalls and things to watch out for in the glamping industry, and you can do it the hard way or you can do it the easier way with Global Glamping, who we obviously recommend. But if that's not what you're looking for, you have to let us know, reach out, send us a text, give us a call, send us an email, however you wish to connect, because we got you covered when it comes to the short-term rental industry and glamping in general. And we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.